Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and this time I'm talking about Tremors 3, Back to Perfection. And for those, of course, you already know I'm a big fan of the first Tremors film. I'm also a big fan of the second film. And in fact, both of them are in my 69 favorite horror films list. And previously I talked about Tremors 2, which I forget what number it was. It was number 13 in my 69 favorite horror films, and you can go back and check that review as to why. And I haven't talked about the first Tremors because that'll be coming up higher on my list. But I wanted to talk about the rest of the films. There's 4 films altogether. And Tremors 3 Back to Perfection, all 4 of these films, which is in this attack pack that I have, has all 4 movies, were written by S.S. Wilson and Brent Maddock. Same guys who wrote Batteries Not Included, Short Circuit 1 and 2, among others. And one of the writers, S.S. Wilson, had gotten his chance to direct with Tremors 2, and would go on to direct Tremors 4, while Brent Maddock got his chance to direct with Tremors 3, Back to Perfection. And this is when the series sort of kind of nosedived for me. Tremors 3, I think, is a watchable film. I can watch the film, be somewhat mildly entertained. And then Tremors 4, not a big fan of it, which I'll get into for the next review. But Tremors 3, Back to Perfection, long story short, there's no Fred Ward. You know, he was in 1 and 2. No Kevin Bacon. No Christopher Garden from Part 2, or Fenn Carter, or Helen Shaver from 1 and 2. 1 or 2. Michael Gross is bad as Burt Gummer. It takes place in Perfection, Nevada, again, the same town as in the first film. And one thing leads to another, and there's more Graboids that come back into town, and they turn to Shriekers, and then there's a new form called Ass Blasters, basically, or they nickname them later on, where they sort of gather this sort of explosive thing that basically shoots out of their ass, and it flies. And just the whole gestation of the worms is that it carries eggs in wide distances. And then the eggs hatch to Graboids, and the whole cycle. And basically it's Burt Gummer. You have this guy, I forget the guy's name. I forgot his name. He's not really important. This other guy, I think Jack, he sort of fakes people out because this is at a point in the town where there has been a Graboid for like a decade or so. And he fakes people out by on this tour of real Graboids, you know, sightseeing, charges them money, and he has actual a guy just blowing these fire extinguishers filled with sand to make it seem like a Graboid's coming towards them, and he rigs his truck so that it doesn't work. He has a fake gun prop. We have another character who is, I guess, the daughter of Chain, Victor Wan's character in the first film, the guy who got eaten. That girl, they have a woman, she owns the marketplace again. Chain sort of old store, and she's very, you know, business interested. Has a, you know, like a 5-year plan bullshit. You have the mom and daughter from the first film. I guess, you know, the girl who was doing the poster said she's a teenager now. You have the mother character. You have the Hispanic guy, Miguel. You actually have an appearance of that asshole kid from the first film who was pissing Val and Earl off. He comes back in a little bit. The film, I'll give it this. I mean, I like Michael Gross. I think he does a decent job as Burt Gummer. I mean, the first opening is there's Shriekers. I guess in mess where he's been hired. Not sure where. To take care of the Shriekers, he has a big-ass 50-caliber machine gun, and he shoots a bunch of Shriekers. Although, I'll get that. I'm getting to the good points. Mainly Michael Gross, and, you know, it's a creature feature film. Has a handful of decent, you know, creature effects. Mainly I watch it because I like Michael Gross, and I like his character Burt Gummer. So it's like mildly entertaining. It's not harmless, and it is harmless. It didn't piss me off. I'm like, oh my god, fuck this movie. I wasn't like that. So like I can watch it and be like mildly entertained, watching Michael Gross, and the thing with this film is it's not that funny. There's really not many likable characters at all. Well, Michael Gross is the only guy I gave a shit about in the movie. Like, I care about a lot of people in the first film, especially Val and Earl. They made the movie. And Fred Ward being the star in the second film, Christopher Garden, I wasn't sure about him, but I thought he did a great job. Helen Shaver. I think Michael Gross did his best work as that character in the second film. I loved the second film as well as the first one. In my opinion, once you take Val and Earl, Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, when they're both out of the picture, the Tremors films to me are not the same. For me, they're not the same. I was mildly entertained with Tremors 3. I was mildly entertained with the TV show, which, yes, it was a TV show that basically takes place after the third film. It's just, the action scenes are really not much to run home about. They use a lot more CGI for the creatures as opposed to really none in the first film. I thought they used a little bit in the second film, but I felt they still had a lot of practical, and even the little bit of CGI I thought looked pretty damn good for a made-for-video film. But they had a lot of practical. Alec Gillis and Tom Wolfe Jr. still doing creature effects. And this one, it saw a little bit more CGI, especially when these ass blasters, they fly around, obviously, CGI. And also, I didn't like the design of the creatures, or the idea that, they basically light a big old fart to fly. I just thought that was stupid. Shriekers, I kind of like the design of the Shriekers. I thought that was actually pretty cool. The Graboids, of course, in the first film. The ass blasters was just too much for me. I mean, I'm like, whatever, And none of I didn't care about the Desert Jack, whatever the fuck his name, who gave the fake tour guides. I thought he really hit home with his fucking accent. And not in a good way. I hated the Asian girl, Susan Chuang, who I guess her character was the daughter of Victor Wan, the guy who owned the shop. I really hated her character. She was very annoying. She was very irritating. Her lines, they were trying to make them funny. They were not funny. I did not care for this character. I would have liked if this character died. But she didn't. I did not like her character at all. Thought she was fairly annoying. And then I'm like, the story, I mean, at least Tremors 2, they try to be a different film, in my opinion. Here it's like, do we really need to go back to Perfection, Nevada? Was that really like, oh shit, you gotta go back to Perfection? Was that really the concept? Oh wow, like who gives a shit about Perfection? And was there really a cry of, oh, we really want to see these characters again? We really want to see Miguel, the Hispanic guy who was in it for maybe 6-7 minutes total in the first movie, and the mom and daughter who we didn't give a shit about in the first film, and now they're in this film. Once again, we don't give a shit about them. And it's like, I hate to break to you, we cared about Val and Earl and Michael Gross, but we care about Val and Elle the most. And I cared about Christopher Garden and Helen Shaver in the second film, as well as Fred Ward and Michael Gross. Here, though, is just, it's not funny. I laughed a lot in the good humor in first and second film. I didn't laugh that much in this movie. I mean, Michael Gross has his moments, like when he has to hide in his little container, and this albinos, or El Blanco, they call it, Graboids, or no, it's not him. It's not that one. It's another Graboid, different Graboid. That's where Burt Gummer has to hide in this sort of steel, I don't know what you call it, barrel, and it swallows him, and another guy has to follow him, and he has to cut it open with a chainsaw, and gets Michael Gross out. That was a decent sequence. The ending where, they have to figure out how to kill these creatures without any weapons. And like, for those who don't know, the Shriekers, the heat-seeking creatures in the second film, when they eat enough, they regurgitate. They make babies that way. They basically puke their babies out, and another Shrieker comes. So they're coming in these ass blasters, and like, oh shit, they don't eat this stuff. So Burt waits the place to explode. After it explodes, they get a call from someone saying, just feed them. They go into a coma. He's like, no, these new ass blasters, so for that reason, when you feed them, they go in coma. Just feed them. Feed them your MREs. And Bert's like, what kind of god, deals with this irony? I fucked up the line, but I thought, okay, that was kind of decent. I liked that a little bit. But that's what is mildly entertaining, but the CGI doesn't work. I was talking about El Blanco. It's not in that scene, but basically by the end of the film, there's a little teeny subplot they don't really do much with. This little government comes in saying, they were called in saying, no, you can't hunt these things. They're endangered species. And also the asshole kid from the first film, he's there. He's like a developer, wants to buy the land. And by the end, the only one left alive is this albino graboid that, because I guess it's albino, it can't become the Shriekers the next stage. So they use this creature to say, hey, you're not going to take our land because this creature is part of the endangered species and it's protected, and this land's protected, so we can stay here. And that leads into the TV series, which basically in the show, they're living in Perfection, Nevada, and you pretty much have the characters, and they introduced this Latina girl, forget her name. Another girl gets introduced, but it's basically like those three characters, the Asian shit that I didn't like, Burt Gummer, and the desert tour guide type of guy, who I didn't like as well. And another chick. Basically, they're in this town, and, they deal with El Blanco, which and I know my fucking Northern antivirus fucked up again, so I might go, Zardoz.
So I apologize. Stupid Northern antivirus does it all the fucking time for some reason. Every time I do a video, it gotta freeze up. This might go in 2 parts, but fuck it. I can talk a little bit of the TV show. Actually, you know what? I'll wait for another day. But Tremors 3, Back to Perfection, it's just pretty forgettable. It's mildly entertaining, but it's not that funny. The dialogue doesn't work as well. The characters are pretty boring and unlikable. I like Michael Gross, and I like the concept because I'm a fan of the first 2 films. That's the only reason I can watch the film. It's mildly entertaining, but pretty bit step down. And if I had to really choose, I would not recommend it, but I can watch it. It's watchable, but I don't hate the film. But it is a step down, and it gets worse. So thanks for watching, and take care. Later.